leads us neatly to our final segment on this week's episode. And it's not something I'm a big fan of, I have to say. But Misfits Boxing had another big weekend, despite KSI not being, or at least not competing, on the show. I believe he did a musical performance out in Dublin. Ayman can tell us more. But, you know, did well, got plenty of interest, plenty of column inches, as they would say in the older days. And seems to maybe have found a bit of a niche in between kind of boxing and entertainment. Ayman, what did you make of the whole experience out in Dublin?
Not just a niche in between boxing and entertainment, but a niche in between the huge events that feature the likes of KSI versus a Tommy Fury, or KSI versus another, or an Anising Gibb or a King Queen boxing tournament event, because they've been struggling and looking for stars for a while outside of KSI, because this whole scene is very much, you know, propped upon the shoulders of JJ Olatunji. But I believe it was a bit of a risk here. They didn't quite know what they were going to get at the 3 Arena, which I've been there before for 2 Katie Taylor fights against Chantal Cameron. Raucous atmosphere, crowd show out, but it's one of those venues where it's very apparent if it's not full, it's you're going to get shown out to be. There's no hiding from the fact that it's not full. But the crowd showed out in force. The atmosphere was unreal. They did well to fill it with some Irish fighters. Ben Williams was on there, or influencers. Dave Fogarty, who's Conor McGregor's full-time cameraman. They were maybe expecting Conor McGregor to roll on through there, but he didn't. But when those two came out specifically as well, mad reaction for both of them, and it kind of really adds to the spectacle of it and really kind of pulls you into the fight. The KSI was supposed to be on there, but he did a music performance. Enjoyed it enough, but what they're really looking for is another star. And they might have found one in the form of this fellow by the name of, I believe his real name is Harrison, but he goes by HSTikkyTokky, big on TikTok, of course. And yeah, he was in against, it was a joke. This was a joke, a complete joke, as in this guy looked like, I mean, he turned up to the weigh-in, sorry, he turned up to the open workout, didn't even have his own gloves, didn't even have a coach in there with him, and he was going to do pads. So this guy was clearly in there for the money to just take it and run. And that's what happened. Like, he took his first punch, went down, got back up, said he wanted to continue. He took another punch and eventually just wilted. And it was a nothing moment. And there was a bit of crazy, like the other side to it, you've got to kind of just take in with the whole equation is like the craziness afterwards, because this fella then jumped out the ring. He then did his whole sticker right now is the Chris Hansen thing, where he stings these alleged sexual predators who are looking for underage people, and then he did a live sting, and they lured this guy into the arena to sting him, and then afterwards he then got into it with another influencer as well too. So there's all sorts of craziness going on, but little pockets of talent in there as well too, because Dean the Great is on there, who could probably have a decent enough professional career if he decides to go that route. You've got Sami Hamed, who made his boxing debut, formerly of McCracken's gym, which is local to myself. He's now since moved to Jamie Moore's gym. And he was against, to be fair, the guy he was against was quite game. And he landed a couple of shots himself. Sammy will probably, you know, kind of look at that and think, maybe I should have boxed a little bit more. But he definitely clearly wanted to knock out, and he was a higher weight than he'd been before. So, but he's contracted to 5 fights. Maybe they're looking to have these 5 fights, pick up some money, because in the amateur scene, if you have your build up in the amateur scene, you're getting no money. Or if you go the traditional professional boxing route and you go the small hall, then you're, you know, either paying to be on these cards and racking up a few wins, or you're not making any money at all. You're making pennies and you're not getting the spotlight, but you can have this Misfits Boxing as your sort of quote unquote amateur scene and get paid really well. I just wonder what the decision there is, because there isn't many stars at his weight. So what is the payoff? Because someone like a Jake Paul who entered, or a Tommy Fury who entered, there's a massive payoff, because you have a Jake Paul or a KSI at that weight, and Sammy probably looked at that and said, I've got a bit of a name, in the same way that Tommy Fury's got a bit of a name. I could probably have a big payoff here, but there isn't, as far as I'm aware, that big star to have that payoff with. So I do wonder what the game plan is here, unless they're just looking to kind of, you know, be the social media type of star and show that they box a little bit and have those clips and go on to modeling or whatever it is. But they did really well. The whole I'm a professional boxing fan. I'd count myself as a hardcore boxing fan as well too. I like traditional boxing more so than this scene, but I'm not a hater of this scene at all. Like I'm entertained by this as long as it's safe, as long as it's regulated, as long as the same sort of protocols that are being administered out in the British Boxing Board of Control are adhered to. A little bit of rockiness in that because when KSI lost, they ended up finding the PBA and then went to the PBA. But this PBA was the Polish Boxing Association as a form, as opposed to the original PBA on the back of the supposed bad judging for the KSI fight. They brought in another organization to look over the fights, and Mams Taylor as well wasn't too happy with some of the officiating. To be fair, it was a fair criticism, but it looks like they're trying to find a bit of shaky ground as to how they're going to get fights going forward. But they're trying different things. I'm not a big fan of the tag team stuff, but Mams Taylor has said himself as well too, we're going to step away from some of the gimmicks here. We're going to get rid of that for now and just kind of make it just one-on-ones and have it be a little bit of fun. And when you have someone like Danny Simpson, who I found this quite interesting because like a Premier League player, a former Premier League title winner who naturally and obviously would have made so much money because they pay so much the wages weekly at that highest level of sport, and he played Champions League football and whatsoever. Why the hell would we want to step in when he's made his money and get paid whatever he got paid to get punched? And he said when I sat down with him, look, this helps with my mental health. It helps with my athletic edge. And like, I'm interested in doing this. I can get away from Ibiza or whatever. I was at Riyad Mahrez's wedding party when I got the phone call. And I was like, yeah, let me do this. I want to go in for it. When these sort of people are kind of saying, look, this is actually a positive for me, you sort of get it. And I think now that the door is open, that a Premier League football is the best outcome actually for that fight. The main event was Danny Aaron's, a FIFA pack opener versus a professional footballer. A bit of a gimmick there in that cell, but that's fine. Yeah, when you have that fight between the two of them and it's a draw, it's the best outcome for both of them because the Premier League winner will come up. Danny Simpson will say, hey, I might have a crack at another one. They didn't get knocked out, they didn't lose badly, and Aaron's the same sort of thing, and they've got a natural rivalry where they can go back to it in the future. So a little bit of movie pun there. But yeah, best outcome for both of them. I was thoroughly entertained by it all. So I'm looking forward to the next one.
I'm glad you had so much to say about Misfits Boxing because I have very little positive anyway to say because it's just not my thing. And that doesn't mean it hasn't got a place or that it isn't doing well because it clearly is. But yeah, I mean, I don't think I'll ever completely understand it, but at the same time, I don't think I'm the target market. So I think that's okay. Everything's as it should be.